and in, I guess you could say, severe weather mode. I wanted to bring this to you because we have some severe thunderstorm warnings that are going on right now as a line of storms pushes through the area. Now, I will tell you, and the current time is 5:56. So here in a few minutes, we'll have people joining us a little bit more as we get into 6 o'clock. And so we'll kind of recap some of what I'm about to tell you. But those of you that are with me right now, I want to bring you up to date at this point. We're continuing to get a few severe thunderstorm warnings. For instance, some of these are for places like Logan and Butler counties and Muhlenberg County, and Muhlenberg County is until and Todd County until 6:15, and then one for Logan and Butler till 6:30. And there may be more, but I can tell you that these are not your everyday conventional severe thunderstorms. I'm going to spend a lot of time here on the radar because we can see all of this activity that's pushing through. And there's a line of heavier showers that's going on right now. And these are gusty showers and storms, even though they are being categorized as a severe thunderstorm warning. There's not a lot of lightning with these storms. As I mentioned earlier, if you were watching me on TV or the update, the podcast that I did last night, I told you that there would not be a lot of lightning. These are low capped, very low instability type systems that are running through. And you can see one, you can see two, and then you can see three. There's just these little distinct lines that are coming through, and they're mostly just wind driven rains. They're not really storms like we normally get when there's a severe thunderstorm warning. So this is a little different scenario, but we'll recap each and every now that it's right now at 6 o'clock. And if you're just joining, I'm live here at 6 o'clock this evening on 270 Weather and Chris Allen Weather on my YouTube channel, if you're watching there, and some of you are watching on Facebook. This is not I'll just say the terms that I use are, this is not a pace the floor up all night situation. I know it's December and you're thinking 2021. This is nowhere even close to that. This is a low end situation in which there are some, pieces of energy coming through with this system, which I told you would happen. But the weather service in Paducah, especially, and now the Louisville Weather Service office, is putting out these severe thunderstorm warnings that you see to the west because of the potential for wind damage. There's not really a lot of rotation. There's not really anything that would produce a tornado. I'm not saying that the threat for a small, brief tornado is not existent, because I'd be lying if I said that. There is a slim possibility that something could happen. But right now, here's the breakdown, and you may hear little bells and whistles going off, and that's when a new update or a new warning comes out. Let's do this warning here. This is the severe thunderstorm warning for Logan and southwestern Butler County, and it's valid until 6:30. So the next 30 minutes. Severe thunderstorms located in that line that I just showed you, 7 miles south of Weir to near Fort Campbell, moving east at 45. Remember, I said this is going to be a really fast moving system, and it is. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. There could be some damage to roofs if you get some of those higher gusts, some siding on your house, trees, and especially if you've put out some big Christmas decorations like those inflatables and um, strings of lights and things like that, you may have to go back and redo them, but that's not a big deal. So this severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30. It takes in Russellville, Anderson, Lewisburg, Ensco, Gordonsville, Dimple, Spa, Epley Station, Dennis, Wolf Lick. Just some of the communities there. Now, in their wording, they say remain alert for a possible tornado. Uh, and they say that's kind of a CYA thing because, like I said, you can't say the threat is zero, but it's really low for something like that to happen. There could be just enough spin somewhere because the low level jet is very active. The winds at the surface are very active, and we have a lot of shear, low level shear in the lowest levels of the atmosphere. And with that shear or changing direction with height, there could be just enough spin to maybe produce something. So don't think of this as a big deal. Down here, these are the tags on their warnings. There is a possible tornado tag. But again, um, the really big deal here is maximum wind gust could be 60. That meets the threshold, low end threshold to produce a severe thunderstorm warning. A severe thunderstorm warning has to meet that 58 mile per hour threshold or higher in order to be a severe thunderstorm warning. So again, this is a CYA situation, a possible tornado, but maybe, this is not going to be that big of a deal. And the area that I'm looking at that would be suspect is right here, Lewisburg. You see that? You see the winds pushing down to the ground there. So, Lewisburg, you may be experiencing right now winds that are hitting your window, hitting your doors, hitting your roof. You can hear that. And it's probably, you're thinking, okay, what is this? Um, it's not tornadic, even though there could be a warning for somebody. Um, this is that kind of situation where it's like it's making a lot of noise, but it's not really producing anything that's going to be dangerous, except if you're outdoors. That kind of situation. As you go south on that second line, you see there's these little kinks in there, and every time there's a little kink, there's that push of that air reaching ground, which could cause damage. There's one right there just east of Elkton, too. So anywhere along that line, there is enough of the winds coming down from the upper levels to the ground, pushing down to the ground as we have the active low level jet stream that's being very active and causing that little bit of shear. But there's not a lot of rotation going on. There's some, but not extensive and not the kind that I would think raises a red flag. I'll go to the velocity and we'll take a look at this at different places here, just so we can find our bearings and investigate this closer to see if there's something. See if there's something going on. Let me get rid of my pen so I can move this. Now, this is coming out of the Nashville Weather Service office. There's a little kink there in Morgantown, but you're not under a warning. You go down, this is the warning for Logan. And as you can see, there's, a few places where the red meets up with the green, but it's nothing that really raises a red flag to me. This is all general just meeting up with this energy pushing through. I don't see anything back here. There's a little bit, some of this is just RF, what we call radio frequency folding of the signal. Here we go into parts of Christian and Todd counties with that warning. That particular warning expires in 8 minutes. And that one is for southeastern Christian and central Todd counties until 6:15. It's 6:07 right now. It's also moving east at 45 with 60 mile per hour wind gusts, pretty much the same wording as the Logan County warning. Let me switch radars. Okay, we'll go to the Hopkinsville radar. And there you see rapid update. Looks pretty much the same. I mean, this is looking more linear than the scan out of Nashville. Let me back up and go to maybe Paducah. It may have a different vantage point. Yeah, it's too much. There's too much interference, and you can see that some of that signal gets cut off. So really, we could try Louisville to see what it's going to show. I didn't mean to do that there. Let me go up here. Louisville. Oh, that's Evansville. Sorry. That's Evansville. Yeah, I don't really see anything suspect there. There's Louisville. With all the clutter, it's kind of hard to see, but here we go. Louisville, looking down into these warnings. See, this is why sometimes it is difficult for the Weather Service offices to see something going on. They've put out the warnings again because this is a situation where they're trying to cover the potential. That's why I said it's CYA. You know what CYA means. Cover your R's. It's that kind of situation. It doesn't mean that there's going to be a tornado. That doesn't mean, even if somebody issues a tornado warning, it doesn't mean that there's a tornado. It just means there's enough rotation and enough signal coming from what they see on Doppler radar to maybe justify doing a warning. But here we are back to the Nashville. This is the velocity scan here at 6:09. And again, I don't see really anything that to me just raises a red flag. Yes, there are these little divots like that one I showed you in Lewisburg. Little divot there. If something was to happen, it would be right here at the apex of that, what looks like a letter S. It would be right there on that bulging out part. If there were to be, and it would be a very small, brief tornado, but there's no tornado warning. If a tornado warning, and there have been some back west, up around St. Louis and parts of western Kentucky, there were, I think, 1 or 2 tornado warnings. If that should happen, it would be because they see the potential for a very brief, very small tornado. But this line is going to continue to weaken as it moves off to the east, and so I don't foresee a big problem. But these winds are coming in now to Russellville, then to Auburn, and they're going to just kind of follow 68, 80 into Bowling Green eventually here in the next 30 minutes or so. And I don't see any other real suspect areas nearby. Those of you that live east of Bowling Green, in Glasgow and places like that, this line should be a lot more tame, if you will, by the time it gets to you. I mean, the rain, most of this is what we call stratiform, and it's just where there is just this big, wide coverage of rain. Yes, there are kind of distinct lines where you get a little bit of heavier rain and you hear it hit your window, you hear it hit your roof, maybe your front door rattles a little bit because the winds are, 30, 40 miles per hour. Inside those lines where the reflectivity turns red, yeah, that's a possibility. And the same thing is happening with this line where the warnings are. Excuse me. And then the line back here, the radar's losing the reflectivity, but I can turn on the Hopkinsville radar and you can see one, two, still three lines. This third line looks a little bit weaker now. Here's let's go to the Paducah radar and check it out. The Paducah radar still has it looking sort of healthy, but you can see how the distortion then that far away from Paducah to here, how the distortion of the signal makes it look a lot different. And that's because, as I've explained here many, many times, radar beams, let's say my elbow is Paducah, and where the beam goes up against the curvature of the earth, guess what? You see it? It's going to be accurate down here. But then when you go further away because of the curvature of the earth, it's going to overshoot what's happening on the ground. And that's why it's so important. Excuse me. That's why it's so important to check the different radar sites, because they're not all going to show you what you need to see, and you need to be at the closest one. Now, the closest one to us is Hopkinsville, and there you see, I'm just now starting to see some lightning strikes, but these are down in Tennessee. As you go from Springfield down 431 and 49 down toward Pleasant View, and this would be 41A coming out of Clarksville. Then you've got 431 from Springfield down toward 41A, where it meets up and goes into Nashville. You've got some little bands of heavier rain, and you've got some lightning going on down there, all the way down to Ashland City as well. But up here, I'm not seeing lightning. There maybe was one flash or two of lightning and then a rumble of thunder, but that's it. That's all that's been going on so far. I can put this into motion. We can stop the scan, and then you'll be able to see how all of this is progressing off to the east. Loading up. There we go. Now you can see there are three lines basically. We've had that first line come through Bowling Green, and it was blowing here at my place here at the airport pretty good. The good news is all of the clouds today and the almost continual rain has held down what additional instability could have taken place today to make this a much worse situation. But the good news is we don't have that. We have only very limited instability, just enough wind energy, of course, and that low-level jet. That's what's prompting these severe thunderstorm warnings. But I still don't think this is going to be a big deal. Let's go to, I want to see what the composite is showing. Get rid of live radar. Now with the composite, this is combining all of the area Doppler radars instead of going to one individually. This may help tell the story a little better because you can see the lines a little more distinctively now. It's showing at least two, and that third line back to the west that we were seeing on the Doppler radar closer, like Paducah and Hopkinsville, that showed a third line. But when you put all the radars together, that third line is very much weakening as expected. And you can see, look back here. See that blue line? That's the cold front. The cold front right now is going through southern Illinois, just about to Cairo, Illinois, then to the Boot Hill of Missouri, and then into far western Tennessee. And so it's going to come through in the next few hours. Look at the temperature difference here. It's 56 right now in Bowling Green. Then you go back into western Kentucky, you've got 45. Then you've got 49 in Mayfield. And look, as you go past the front, 42 back into the Boot Hill, Missouri. And if you go up here to Farmington, Illinois, that's also behind the front. The temperature is 37. So as the front, let me make this a little more, stand out a little bit more. So as the front comes through, okay, there's somebody trying to call me, but I'm gonna blow them off because I'm doing this live. But this is the cold front right there that's coming through. Okay. Okay. That's not a warning or anything. That's the smoke alarm going off in my house because my wife is doing she's cooking. She's cooking and she set something off. Wow, that is loud. Maybe I should have that as a storm warning signal. Ah, that's better. Maybe I should have that as a storm warning signal. That would get your attention, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's crazy loud. Okay. Let's see here. Some of you are chiming in. Nay Weedman. Okay. Caneyville, that's up in Grayson County, getting hit with heavy rain and winds right now. Thank you, Nay, for letting me know that. Let's see. All of this, here's Sheena. When are these expected to be over? In the next couple of hours. Really, I would say after maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, most of this is going to be done once that cold front comes through. Let's see. Here's Chris, 7244. Wind is extreme in Epley's. That's in Logan County. Some of you know it as Epley's Station. That's where the Logan aluminum plant is. So thank you, Chris, for that report from Epley's Station. I still call it Epley Station. Okay, so I'll continue to monitor the comments as they come in for this. All right, I'm going to jump ahead here. Now that and there's no new warnings that have come out, and these are about to expire. Let me show you. Well, no, here's a new warning. This is the newest severe thunderstorm warning that's now out for, it looks like it does take in parts of Warren County. So the newest severe thunderstorm warning until 7. This is going to go until 7. Southeastern Logan County. Then you have Simpson County, northwestern Allen County, and then it does take in southern Warren County until 7 p.m. All right. Now, as they word this, they're calling them severe thunderstorms because even though they don't have lightning, they are storm based just simply because of the wind component. These storms located along a line extending from 14 miles northeast of Russellville to 9 miles east of Guthrie, and they're moving east at 40 miles per hour. And those of you that have have the News 40 weather app and Those of you that have Ring doorbells, like I do, you just got the warning. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that Ring has decided to include severe thunderstorm warnings and things like that on the if you have a Ring camera, a doorbell, or a camera, and you turn on the neighborhood portion of it, then you get these little pop-ups that say, "Oh, there was a lost dog in this area," or whatever. Now they're putting severe weather warnings in the Ring cameras, which I think is pretty cool. But here is that severe thunderstorm warning, and this is why it's a warning, because of the hazard of a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. That's not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible. So all this includes Bowling Green, Crestmore, Memphis Junction, Mount Victor, Franklin, Auburn, Adairville, Woodburn, Three Forks, and Hardcastle. Severe thunderstorm warning until 7 p.m. Parts of Logan, Simpson, Allen, and Warren counties. And the current time is 6:22. So this will continue for about another 35, almost 40 minutes. I do see one lightning strike that has just shown up in Franklin, but I don't see anything else. Most of the lightning strikes are down in Tennessee. All right. So I'll put Bowling Green right there back in the middle. You can see back to the west, things do lighten up a bit. I can switch radars and go to Nashville, and you can see really the strongest line is the one that stretches from Horse Cave down through Park City, west of Glasgow, east of Plano, and then all the way down to Nashville. A couple of lightning strikes there. And we're now starting to pick up a few lightning strikes. That also factors into to the severe thunderstorm warning. You get the lightning. At first, we didn't have lightning. Now we're seeing a little bit of lightning, which doesn't necessarily mean this is strengthening. It just means it has picked up on a little bit of added instability, enough to pop a lightning strike or two. So yeah, it's worth watching. You can see the line is now making its way off to the east. Let's put it in motion. And you can see how rapid all this is moving off to the east at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Now, once you get west of Morgantown and Russellville, this is pretty much done. All right. Let me go over to the Kentucky Mesonet now, and I want to see the winds. Here are the current temperatures at 6:24 on this Thursday evening, December 18th. 50s, and look, you can see the cold front coming in. Look at these 40s now back into western Kentucky. So the front is starting to move through, but I want to check the winds. Current winds, and this is also a sign that the front is coming through. Ahead of the cold front, winds are barreling out of the south at 10 to 15 to 20, 25, 24 miles per hour. Then notice the winds change direction. They become more westerly and then northwesterly. Right there where that bend takes place over Muhlenberg, Ohio, and Todd counties, that's the front, because the winds are now shifting direction and pretty rapidly. So once that front makes it past your location, if you're back into western Kentucky, west of Interstate 65, west of Bowling Green, the winds, once they start to shift a little more from the west and northwest, that's the cold front coming through. Let's check some of the gusts. Currently, there's a 32 mile per hour wind gust in Morgantown. There's a 24 mile per hour gust in Glasgow. Here's an almost 30 mile per hour gust in Edmonton in Metcalfe County here at 6:26 p.m. Look at this. Franklin, you just had a 35 mile per hour wind gust here at 6:27. And notice here again, you see the arrows from southerly winds, which we've had all day and for the last several days, really. And now we're seeing a shift in the wind to the northwest or from the northwest. So the front is right there just about Morgantown. And see, it's these little nuances that you have to follow to understand how the weather is unfolding right in front of your eyes. If you pay attention to these little details, then hopefully you understand better what's happening. And once you get past that front, the actual cold front, the severe weather threat is going to go down. It's still rather valid, and that's why the Weather Service has put out these severe thunderstorm warnings, but they're more of a, like I said, a CYA thing, just to cover, just in case something pops up. And the only thing that's popped up is some wind gusts and, maybe a little bit of something trying to get going. And this is a precautionary thing. So here's even the mesonet here has a radar. So you can see with these wind gusts, notice the higher gusts are right there with that line, that first line that has already come through Bowling Green. And now the second line, look at that, 32 mile per hour wind gust. That's Morgantown. So yeah, these little kinks, those little bends, and where there's a mesonet site, you're getting real-time data with the radar that shows you how things are behaving. It's an excellent way. This is an excellent way that I never have time on television to explain what's happening. This is what's happening. And that's why I can tell you with some very good assurance that once you get past this cold front that's to the west, the winds start to relax. Look at that. Gust of only 3 to 9 to maybe 13, 16, 14 miles per hour instead of 26, 35, 27, 32, 24, 30, almost 30. See, once we get past these two little lines, things begin to calm down pretty quickly. The winds change direction, the temperature comes down, and the instability goes away. So we just have to work through this over the next hour or two, and then we're done. All right. Let's do a little recap here. Here's Corbin watching from Litchfield to produce something frozen. All right. Let's see. Let me see if I can see some other comments that I haven't seen so far. Linda, thank you, Chris, for making it so clear. Well, I appreciate it. See, my goal is to make sure that things are explained to you in simple terms so that you get it. So many times, meteorologists and weather people get on social media, they do this coverage maybe, and they throw out all the big $5 words, and you're sitting there going, what in the world is he talking about? Am I right? Because they want to gloat about how much education they have and their meteorology degree from whatever college, and they think, and it's just grandstanding. As I've talked about before, it's hype and it's grandstanding. Look how good I am. That's all it's about. That's all it's about. Well, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'm going to explain to you in the simplest terms possible exactly what's happening out there. You deserve that. You don't deserve somebody trying to show off. I don't need to. I've been doing this for over 40 years, so I don't need to show off. I don't care about showing off. I care that you understand and you get what I'm talking about. That's the difference. And it's got to be that way, or I just think it's uh, people are just getting on here and just blabbing to make themselves look good, and it makes me sick because it's not doing you any favor at all. Here's Eddie. Are the blue polygons wind warnings? No. Let me explain that. The the ones you keep seeing flashing on in blue, those are special weather statements. It is one level under a severe thunderstorm warning. So they're not warnings, they're just the next level below a warning. It's like, this is an area to watch, and we're going to put out a statement saying, this is an area to watch. It could go to a warning, but right now it is underneath the warning criteria. That's what that a special weather statement is. And I just happen to have them turned on because that gets my attention and I can go in there and read what they're saying. And therefore, you know, you can kind of see what's happening and unfolding before it happens. Here's Bethany, getting pretty windy in Rockville. Yeah, that's that second line that's coming through now. And so it's going to get windy again for a little bit until, as I showed you, that front. Let me draw here again. And I know my pen it went crazy a while ago. Yeah, there it is. So the front, as we saw in the Kentucky Mesonet network, is right about here. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. I wish it wouldn't do that. Sometimes it does that if I go too far in one direction. Yeah, but I can start a new draw. The winds now are coming from the northwest back here in western Kentucky. They're over Hopkinsville, they're westerly. And now, out ahead of the system, the winds are at the surface coming out of the south. Okay, so this is the current situation. It is right here about Madisonville to Hopkinsville, west of Clarksville. That is your cold front because that's where the winds start to shift direction from the south to the west and then to the northwest. And as you can see behind the front, they have this front drawn way back here, but really the front is now about Hopkinsville. And notice the temperature is going down 45, 47, then 30 start to show up back to the west. Even Hopkinsville has now dropped to 48. They were close to 60 earlier. And look at Bowling Green. We're at 56. So the cooler air is coming in already. And that alone is going to stabilize the atmosphere so that we don't have anything worse than what we're seeing right now. It's not going to get any worse than what we have right now. It's just, that's the way it goes. Let me hit a Hazcam here. Litchfield. Look at Litchfield. This is a live view thanks to Grayson County Emergency Management. They have one of the Hazcams where it's 50 degrees. You were close to 60 earlier. You can see the raindrops hitting the lens because the wind is blowing. Check it out. Real time here. The winds are coming in from, this shows northeast at 18, but it's probably more southwest. And here in Bowling Green now, outside my window, I am hearing this next line coming through. And boy, is it blowing like it was about an hour ago. And there it is. Let me switch over to composite radar, where we can put all of these lines together and then run it, or all the radars together. Notice that that second line is weakening. See it? As it moves east, it's weakening. But it's still got some gusty winds, probably some 40. Whoa, I just heard we've got little Christmas decorations outside on our front porch, and I just heard something blow over. Let me go to the Kentucky Mesonet. We check the gusts with that second line, and here we go. It looks like that's Litchfield. There's Morgantown. Here's Bowling Green, 16, 17. Okay, it's going to catch up here. There's a 29 mile per hour gust now in Franklin, Simpson County. So we're getting strong winds with this second line now coming through Bowling Green. This is expected. This is typical. Okay. I have heard that there are some, and I think there's been a little power surge, that there may be some outages because of the winds that are coming through, but that's expected as well. Here are the sustained winds, 10, 12, 23, 21. Let me go back and reset the gusts. Oh yeah, there's a 37 in Barron County. This is around the Bon Air community. That particular Kentucky Mesonet sensor just had a 37 mile per hour gust. There's a 21 in Scottsville. Okay. A 29, as I mentioned, in Franklin. So we're going to probably see these gusts go up as this line comes through. And then notice back to the west, the gusty winds begin to dissipate from west to east as the cold front makes its way through. And there's the front. Now just about Bowling Green. So that second line is where the winds begin to shift from the south to the west and then northwest. That northwesterly wind is the colder air that's going to take over and send our temperatures plunging down into the 20s tonight. And I'm not kidding. So we hit a high of 61. I just got the information. 61 was the official high temperature in Bowling Green today. All right. That's 12 degrees above the average of 49. I did not make a graphic as I usually do on this podcast, but I wanted just to do kind of a raw live update on what's taking place right now. So I'm only using limited graphics tonight, but the high was 61. So that gave us a little bit of juice, if you will, for this system. And the dew points did get into the 50s, but not the 60s. Let me tell you, if the dew points had gotten into the 60s, then we might have had something a little more robust, if you will. But that didn't happen, thanks to the clouds. So that's 61 for our high, 12 degrees above the normal of 49. We're barely going to make it to 40 tomorrow. When you get up in the morning and go to work, go to school, it is going to be in the 20s. And it's going to feel pretty doggone chilly. So yeah, just expect that. Let's see here. Let me, okay, I'm just checking a few things. Let's go to, okay, the low was 40, by the way, from this morning. And so far, we've picked up a third of an inch of rain, but that is not counting what you see coming down right now. So it's going to be closer to a half inch, maybe more than that in a lot of places. Let me stop the motion here and recap. Here is the latest severe thunderstorm warning that is good for another 17 minutes until 7 p.m. for Simpson, northwestern Allen, and southern Warren. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We may have some of those, but we'll find out shortly if that's happened. But I think the wind gusts are about to taper off now. And that's certainly good news. You can see the tags here, wind gust 60. It's, yeah. Scottsville, you're now getting some of the worst of the winds according to this composite radar. So you see let me change back to red here. All right, there we go. You can see the bend here north of Scottsville. That is intense winds coming down to the ground, pushing out what we call a gust front, that little bulge, that little push as the upper winds come down and meet up with the low level jet where there's enough energy to maybe cause a little rotation, but there are no tornado warnings. If anything does happen, it would be a very small, short-lived little spin up. But that has not happened. And now I don't see the lightning strikes that I was seeing earlier. And that's also a good sign. It means things are weakening a lot more. And once we get the line that's coming through Bowling Green, look how much it's weakened. Watch it. Look at this. It's really all together. And now it's just falling apart. See it? Together. And now more green is showing up, and that's good. That shows that the instability levels are really rapidly going down because, as I just mentioned, the cold front is coming through, and that is going to stabilize everything. So if you live along and east of 65, just give this a little bit longer. Yeah, the wind's going to blow. If you're in the Caveland area, Glasgow, Scottsville, even over toward Greensburg and Edmonton and Summershade and Fountain Run and T-ville, the wind's going to blow really hard once this line comes your way. And you can have some wind gusts of 40 or 50 miles per hour. But then after that blows through, it's pretty much done. It's pretty much over after that. I want to check a few more of your comments and reports. Here is Tasha. Pretty good winds in the Anna Sandhill area. Yeah, that's as you go up 259 and 101 as you're going up north to 259, like you're going to go to Litchfield in that particular area. So thank you for that report. Let's see. Yeah, the wind's picking up in Litchfield. There is, and Eddie, you're right. The two lines are beginning to converge. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to get stronger. This actually means that the lines are beginning, you can see it right there. They're beginning to collapse. One is collapsing into the other. They're merging because the front is now catching up to those distinct lines, and now they'll become more linear, we call it. They'll become more together. And as the cold front passes through, then it's just going to continue to weaken. So all of these things are good signs. Here is Linda Denton, 7431, very windy and Bowling Green, sheets of rain. That's because it's wind-driven rain. Pretty expected. Here's John, rain and wind rocking in South Warren. Yep, that's why the warning is out. Let's see. Sue, bad winds in Riverside. Yeah, that's Warren County. But they're about to calm down now that the cold front's passing through. Tasha again, lights flickering in Anna Sandhill. Yeah, mine flickered too. They didn't go off, but I've got some really stout battery backups here. UPS batteries hooked up to all my equipment, so I can keep rolling even if the power goes off. Gee, who thought of that? I wonder who thought of that. Oh, it was R&R Controls. Yes, even I use R&R Controls for battery backup. This is a good time to talk about that as things are beginning to calm down here at 6:50 on this Thursday evening. R&R Controls, yes, they do HVAC. That's what they've been doing for over 40 years. But as I've explained before, they're also experts with generators, battery backups, and all of that. Maintenance on generators. If you already have a Generac generator, they can come out, take a look at your generator, and get it back to where it should be and ready for winter, which starts in a few days, by the way. And you've already seen that we've had an active fall as we transition from fall to winter. There's more. I can tell you there's more active weather on the way. Remember the motto, remember the saying that we say on News 40 Weather. It's always, always severe weather season. I want that to be drilled into your brain because I don't want you to think, well, we only have to worry about tornadoes in the spring. Oh, yeah? December 2021? Remember that? How about New Year's Day, January 1st, 2022? I could go on and on about wintertime tornadoes and severe weather. It happens, and when it happens, you're like, golly, I wish I had a generator. Man, wouldn't that be great if I had a generator, the power's off, and now I got to go around with flashlights, and I can't use my computer. The food in the freezer and the refrigerator is spoiling. You can get a generator for your home, no matter how big it is or how small, with affordable financing. It's not without reach. You may think it is, but it's not. Let R&R Controls show you and demonstrate for you how really simple and easy it is. 270-777-2024 is the number to call. Or you can go to rnrhvac.com, their website. They also have a Facebook account. You can go there and they will show you how easy it is to get hooked up with a generator. Yep. All right. So Barry Conley, I got you in there. Even during severe weather coverage, I got our sponsor in there, R&R Controls. And we thank them because they have supplied me with these battery backups, these UPS, big UPS. They're not the Generac generators, but they're the next best thing underneath a generator to keep my computers going. If I lose power in the next little bit, for some reason, the winds, I can keep rolling, which is great. Let's see. I'm just checking some of your comments. Here is Sarah Garmin, 1227. Winds are starting to pick up in Edmonton. Yep, you can see on the radar that first line is just about there. It's going over Glasgow right now. So Glasgow is experiencing now those 40 mile per hour plus wind gusts, but it's only for a short time, a few minutes, and then the winds relax. And you can see those two lines are now coming together as one, which is pretty typical in this kind of a situation, this kind of setup. Here's Jason Haley. Lots of gusty wind here at the Warren Edmonson County line. Yeah, and you can see there as you travel up 65 and 31W going into the Caveland area, the Mammoth Cave area. Yeah, it's that second line that's just now passing through, and it's going to put an end to the strong winds and even the heavy rains, and things are going to start to calm down. Let's see. I'm just rolling through, checking comments. Here's Eddie Endicott. Heavy winds at Beaver Creek and Barron County. Yep, right on cue. Thank you, Eddie. Here is Marcia. The wind is crazy in Oakland. That's in far eastern Warren County, northeastern Warren County, next to Smiths Grove, up there near Buc-ee's. Well, I bet the travelers that are at Buc-ee's are like, all right, I need to get some gas, but you know what? They just put some fresh brisket on the counter. When you go to Buc-ee's, that's what you hear them. Every time they put the fresh brisket out there, they all say it at once. All the employees. I think it's pretty cool. But then it makes you come over and go, oh, give me some of that Buc-ee's brisket. Oh my goodness. Oh. And I would feel pretty safe at Buc-ee's right now, unless I'm out there pumping gas. But if you're in the store, you're good. Michelle Creek, really windy, raining right now in Scottsville. Yep, radar verifies that. Here's David. Just had some major wind come through Boyce. That's on the south side of Warren County and toward the Alvaton area, if you're going out that way. Let's see. Okay, Becky Belcher, she's asking the question, so is there going to be black ice in the morning? I don't think so, and here's why. Even though we're going to get below freezing overnight tonight, early tomorrow morning, I think the wind is going to dry everything out pretty quickly. Therefore, I think the roads will be mostly dry and maybe just a little wet in the morning. The winds are still going to be kind of breezy overnight, even after the rain is gone. And I think that's going to help the roadway situation so we don't have any icy spots. But it's possible that when I get up in the morning and head in about 4 a.m. to the TV station, there could be a little icy spot here and there. We'll see. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning for Sumner County, Tennessee. So not Kentucky. That would be down, the Gallatin area, Hendersonville, in that area. So across the Tennessee border. Here's Becky, really whipping around in Glasgow. Here's Katie. Wind is bad in Glasgow right now. Thank you, Katie. Let's see. Here's Patty. Lights are flickering in Cave City. Lots of rain and wind. Yep. No tornadoes. This is all just, ordinary stuff as it's all kind of weakening as it comes together, those two lines. Here is Heart of Gold 79. Wow, the wind and pouring down rain here in Glasgow at the moment. Yep, Glasgow's getting it pretty good right now. There comes another, let's see, flood advisory, but this is for Robertson and Sumner counties in Middle Tennessee. So they're getting now a flood advisory because of so much rain that is going on there. Let me read the notes on that one. That's until 10 o'clock. Flooding caused by excessive rainfall until 10 o'clock. Minor flooding in low-lying and poor drainage areas. 1 to 2 inches of rain have fallen in places like Gallatin, Springfield, Ashland City, Nashville, Madison, Hendersonville, Goodlettsville, my hometown of White House, Tennessee, Millersville, which is actually where I really grew up. Between White House and Goodlettsville, there's a little town on 31W called Millersville. That's actually where I grew up. But I always say just Nashville or White House because they're bigger. Greenbrier, Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Coopertown, Belmead, Lakewood, Ridgetop, Cross Plains, Portland, Joelton, Old Hickory. Flood advisory until 10 o'clock because of excessive rainfall. And now that's popping up on the radar. Let me stop motion here. And you can see there it is right there. Flood advisory. Until 10. There we go. Cheatham, Davidson, Robertson, Sumner. Those are the counties involved. And there's your 1 to 2 inches of rain. And it's come down so fast that they're getting some minor flooding, street flooding, ditches, gullies, stuff like that is coming out of their waters, coming out of their banks. Okay, so that's it. Now, here's another good sign. The only warning that's out right now is this one, and it's just expired. That's the warning for Simpson, Allen, and Warren, because we're coming up on 7 o'clock. It's 6:59, and this little box is about to go away. And notice, now that those two lines have come together, this is not a warning. This is a special weather statement that expires in 30 minutes. It's the level below a warning, and it's for Monroe, Allen, Warren, part southeastern Warren, Barron, and southeastern Metcalf until 7:30. But look, the wind gusts are now 50 instead of 60. Everything is starting to tame down now, and less likelihood of a tornado. We've had no tornadoes, just straight line winds, little gust fronts. Here is a new severe thunderstorm warning that takes in Davidson, that would be Nashville, Sumner, Wilson, and Trousdale counties until 7:45. So the strongest storms right now are 9 miles southwest of Gallatin and moving east at 50. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are certainly possible. So that's where, see that warning that I was just talking about over Bowling Green down to Franklin, it's over. It's gone. And now for us in the 270, the strongest rains and winds are moving through Hiceville, east of Glasgow, over toward Lecta, Keno, those communities, and then down toward Scottsville and about to hit Fountain Run. And once that passes you, you're done. It's over. Cold front coming through. Look at this. Here's another sign, ladies and gentlemen. I love it when things show up. Remember, we were at 56 just about 30 minutes ago? Check it out. We have dropped 10 degrees. That's the cold front. Look at Glasgow. You're at 56. Here's the front right there. Okay. Now, once that front comes through, your temperature is going to take a major plunge, and the heavy winds and the heavy rains will suddenly come to an end. Yes, there's still rain back here, but it's nothing like this. It doesn't have the gusty winds with it. So really, for much of the 270, this is over. This event is pretty much over. Here are the gusts right now as the front is coming through. A 27 mile per hour gust at the Western Ag Expo Center. Now the winds are coming out of the northwest. There's the bend. That's the front. Southerly winds, then a little westerly wind, then a northwest wind. That little bend right there is the cold front where the strongest winds, gusts, are happening right now at 7:05. 31 mile per hour gust in Scottsville right now. Look at this, a 36 mile per hour wind in Glasgow, Barron County. That's the cold front coming through. Let me show you this, and then I'm gonna quit. Because it's calming down. I don't think we're going to see any more warnings. Maybe one, but not much more. We're only going to make it up to 40 tomorrow. That's it, 40. It is going to be a cold day, and there's going to be some wind. So it's going to feel a lot colder than that. Then we go down to 29 Friday night, but look at Saturday. Immediately, the winds shift back from the south on Saturday, and that is going to warm us up to the mid-50s. But look what happens Sunday. What is that? Another clipper, another cold front. This one, though, I don't think will have any rain with it. Maybe somebody gets a sprinkle out of it, but not much more than that. Then here comes the period in which we soar in temperature. And let me just say, get ready for a very balmy Christmas. I'll have a balmy Christmas without you. Need to change that. Oh, I see people going away now. The numbers just went as I started to sing. It's not going to be a blue Christmas. It's going to be a orange, reddish, warmer, as you see the colors here. Look at this, 52, 58, Monday, Tuesday. Here's Christmas Eve, 65. But check this out. This is Christmas Day right at 70 degrees. Oh my goodness. Santa Claus is going to be wearing a Hawaiian shirt when he shows up. It won't be the red costume. He's going to be wearing a flowery shirt. I guarantee when he shows up. 70 freaking degrees on Christmas Day in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And look, even the day after, 65, that Saturday following Christmas, 62, we don't cool down until that very next Sunday. This is incredible, but it's not just us. Most of the country, about 90% of the country, is going to be warmer than normal on Christmas Day. It's astounding. Has it happened before? Yes, it has. Several times. But it's going to happen. No white Christmas. It's going to be more like a Hawaiian Christmas, or as USX Patriot, I guess it is, says right here, a heat miser Christmas. Yeah, you've seen the heat miser. And the little character with the flames coming out of his head. Yeah, it's going to be more like that. Wow. Is anybody really happy about near 70? Well, somebody is. You heard the crowd applause right there. Wow. I'm actually okay with it. Yes, it would be great to have a snow, a white Christmas, but hmm, tell your friends it's going to be 70 degrees on Christmas Day in Bowling Green, Kentucky, in the 270. Wowzers. So, all right. I see your comments here. Been reading them. Thank you for all that. And you guys in real time, here it is 10 after 7, almost 10 after 7 here on a Thursday night. Um, just a little something, something, a little event that wasn't that bad. And you guys, I loved your comments because you kept me up to date in real time. Then we had the Kentucky Mesonet that kept us up in real time, which everything coming in. You could see the cold front and the winds changing direction. And then our radars have I mean, it's just having all these tools is exceptional. And it really helps me tell you the real story without the hype, without the grandstanding, without the bloating and gloating. Man, I love you guys. I really do. You make it worth it to sit here in my own home and I just spent an hour and 12, no, make it an hour and 13 minutes with you doing this. And I love to do it because I'm going to follow it. Even if I weren't doing a podcast, I would still be looking at radars and checking this and checking that. So why not do it for you and then try to explain things in simple, understandable language and terminology? No $5 words that you're not going to understand. Who cares? It has to be simple. You guys, I want you to be safe. I want you to understand what's going on. And I'll also, number one, I want you to not be afraid. I know sometimes it's easy to do the what I call the pace the floor and to stay up all night and all that kind. I'm going to tell you if you need to do that. And even when you do that, I hope you've taken the time before that event to prepare. It's about preparation and it's about knowing where to go, what to do, and how to stay safe. And then when it does happen, when it is one of those situations like December 2021, when we do stay up all night and pace the floor and we're concerned about this and something really, big happens, I want you to be prepared and I want you to know what to do because panic is the worst thing you could do. You cannot make a good decision when you panic. No, panic will get you nowhere. How do I know this? And why am I preaching this to you? Because I grew up that way, being totally terrified of storms until somebody said what I just said a long time ago. I watched somebody on TV say, you know what? Yeah, there's stuff going on here, but there's no need for you to stay up all night and pace the floor. This is going to be okay. And then I would change the channel, watch another channel, and they're like, watch out. This is going to be big. This is going to cause a lot of damage. This is going to be, and I'm like, who do I believe? Well, it ended up, I believe the person who said, let's just take a breath here. Let's understand what's happening with the weather and you'll be okay. And you know what? He was right. So I'm just passing on that logical common sense to you because I do not want you up all night and I do not want you pacing the floor. I want you to arm yourself with things like a weather app, even if it's not the News 40 weather app. I could sit here and try to sell you on only the News 40 weather app. No, there's so many weather apps out there. You've got to have at least one, but I would have two or three as a backup just because one may go down and you can go to the other in an instant and have your phones charged and ready to go if your power goes out. That's preparation. And also knowing where to go in your home to stay safe. That's preparation. You've got to do that when the sun is shining and not wait until it starts getting crazy. Because if you wait until it gets crazy, then you have not prepared. And that's when you panic. And that's when you make bad decisions. And that's why you pace the floor all night because you don't know what's going on and you don't know what's going to happen. Don't be that person. Prepare and follow along on your own. You can get a radar on your phone or your iPad and you can see where the storms are. You don't need a bunch of people telling you this. You can do it yourself. Back when I was a kid, we had none of this technology. And that was part of the reason why I was scared. I wanted to see exactly what was going on. Well, guess what? Now we've got it. I never dreamed we would have radar in the palm of our hands. If you think about it, that's pretty incredible. We now take it for granted. But my goodness, how far we've come. How far we've come. Love you guys. Thank you for watching 270 Weather. Thank you for watching News 40. I'll be there tomorrow morning for a Finally Friday, 6 a.m. News 40 Sunrise, me and Ashley. Then again, News 40 at 9 and News 40 at noon. I can tell you that it's going to be a chilly, chilly day tomorrow. God bless you. Have a great rest of your evening.